Hi everyone. Welcome to another episode of Bare Thoughts. This time it's a year roundup and we have the entire team. Firstly, thank you all so much for taking the time out from your super busy schedules. I know how occupied everyone is. To make it to this episode, we thought we'd end this year on a sweet special note. And I don't think our audience knows too much about us. So it'd be a nice opportunity to maybe start this episode with just introducing each other instead of you introducing yourself. So Mehul, do you want to introduce Tanya? What she does and what her role at Bear is, and something that you know outside of Bear too.
This is interesting. I think so. Tanya leads business development for Bare Necessities, which is very apt for her because she's one of the most persistent people I've met, including blocking the door once before an Amazon guy left for deliveries. So I think that defines her persistence and how perfect she is for her role. But I've also had the chance to kind of travel with her for IKEA workshops, where we went to Mumbai, and it was a solid experience with Tanya. And I think even over there, it was one of her first workshops that she's done. So even the willingness to learn and stuff was very visible. So yeah, that's my introduction about Tanya.
Sweet. Tanya, do you want to introduce Sahar?
So before I joined Bare Necessities, I was a customer and I was a fan of Sahar especially, and I've always thought of Bare Necessities as Sahar's merch. The couple of weeks that were my first few weeks here, I was so intimidated by Sahar, and she was always trying to, make me feel so good here, make me feel at home, because she knew that I had come to Bangalore especially to work with Bare Necessities and her, and she's one of the most warmest person I've ever met. And I'm just, really happy to be a part of what she does and contribute a bit. Yeah.
So kind, so sweet.
Thank you.
Sweet. Sahar, do you want to introduce Mehul?
Well, Mehul started off as, he said, can I spend some time at Bare Necessities? I, really care about climate change, blah, blah. And I said, no. I said, I can't afford you. I don't have an office. What will you come here and do? And I introduced him to every friend I knew in the sustainability space in India. And and then he started off, and then he never left. So on paper, I guess he is the CMO, but he actually does a lot of other stuff as well beyond that. And obviously, it's been really fun getting to know him, so much so that I married him as well. But someone who's very kind and fun, and I think does a great job of trying to make everyone feel at home, and leads with his heart. So awesome. Sanjana, do you want to introduce Veena?
Yes. Okay, so Veena, I know her as that smiling face that's forced to work every day. On the few days when I manage to get here early, she'll be here even before that. So I don't know how she does it. But it's been such a pleasure working alongside Veena, because she's honestly a wordsmith. I could be struggling to write an email and she'll know what to say, to perfectly draft that email, which I would have spent at least 10 times going over it for. So yeah, and she's so versatile with her role, and we spend a lot of time shooting together as well. And now she's just got it. Even before I give her directions, she's like, yeah, I'll just close this box and I'll put the postcard in, and that's it, right? And I'm like, wow, girl, how did you get that? So yeah, I'm honestly in awe of Veena every single time I see her working, because she's she wears so many hats in this organization, and she goes between doing this podcast, for instance, and hosting it, and then writing blogs and doing all of our applications. So it's been pretty great seeing you do so many different things, and it's been fun.
Can we just close this episode here? I'm super flattered. That's extremely kind. But I think Sanjana does something very, very different to what I do. I'm more of a generalist. I'm just constantly hopping from place to place. Whereas Sanjana is just a specialist pro at whatever she does. She handles our photographs, videographs, our Instagram content, and she does such a fab job at just curating and crafting and creating it. It's an absolute creative genius, and we're super, super, like, I think lucky to have you around. So I think on that note, now that everyone knows each other, we can also introduce two new kids on the block, which is our Genie in a Bottle multi-surface cleaner and our Rainforest moisturizer, which we launched this year. And there are highlights for the year. And Sahar, since you are kind of the mastermind behind these products, do you want to take us through how you made it, where the idea came from, what your experience is like working with them and creating them?
For sure, thanks so much. So while it is, my idea concept, I have nothing to do with the formulation. That's all Madhura. She's our chemist, she's our formulator, way smarter than I will ever be on all things product. But yeah, honestly, really, really excited about trying to think out of the box, and I think we really wanted to experiment on trying to create waterless formats, which was honestly really scary. Lots of failures, lots of failed attempts, many years of R&D spent into it before it actually happened. And we were first thinking of a different format, and then it came to be a different format. So it's been a long, long R&D journey to get here. But yeah, I really love the multi-surface cleaner because I think it's so versatile. It's perfect for glass, for mirrors. There's no white cast after you kind of wipe it down. So it's actually super versatile. My countertops, kitchen, everything is like super sparkly and awesome. So I really love it. The moisturizer, this was actually our other colleague Apurva's idea. She said, I love the moisturizer when I'm in Bombay, but when I'm in Jaipur, I find that I could use something with a little bit more hydration. So we're like, whoa, that's genius. Let's do another one for like a deeper hydration. Also gives us more flexibility, depending on which geography you live in, or even just, the nature of your skin. If you need something that's even more needs super more hydration. And so that's kind of how Rainforest came about. And much like the rainforests are a beautiful canopy, so is our skin. Our skin is the largest sense organ, and it absorbs everything that you put on it. So it's really important to put something very thoughtfully on it. And in our Western Ghats rainforest, the coffee is really celebrated, the pepper is really celebrated, but actually citrus grows there extensively, and so does vanilla, the vanilla bean itself. So we're kind of celebrating also the less celebrated fragrances found and nested within our Western Ghats. So that's kind of how it came about. The process of naming is a whole nother experience at Bear, whiteboards and and all of that, which is also sometimes very controversial. There's like a lot of passionate opinions on names, but it gets really fun. And then the second best names or and the other names that were really winning get saved for future product launches. So yeah.
Since you were talking about our creative process that eventually goes into making our products, Mehul and Sanjana, do you want to maybe take us through your creative process?
Sure. So actually when Sahar was coming up with these ideas for products before it got into formulation, before it got into actualization, she would tell this to Apurva and I, right? And sometimes we would just sit there and be like, how am I supposed to sell this? This is it's a great idea, Sahar, on paper, but what is going on, right? It's because it's in a marketing or creative way, it's very difficult to sometimes articulate it, especially to the market that is used to something that is has been there for so long, right? Certain formats have been there for so long. So thinking of it as okay, I have to tell the customer that you have to tear open a sachet, put the powder into it, and then mix it up, and then it's so simple. But I think it challenges you to think differently. So as the moment you kind of give that concept to the marketing team, it's more let's make it happen, rather than pushing back, or rather than being it could be difficult or something like that. So immediately from a creative side, it's more okay, how do we make this as easy as possible? So the first thing we thought about when we're thinking of the dispenser was make it 3 words, right? So pour, stir, refill. That's it. And the moment you make it those 3 words, it's snap. It sounds like a snap at least. So even the dispenser, we wanted to kind of, the sachet is great, but the dispenser is one way to just communicate what we are trying to do. So the language on it that says, did you know, right? And it says like, did you know X amount of percent, 90% of their products are actually water. So that's what we're trying to do. And sometimes social media is great to communicate certain things, but sometimes product and packaging placement is another level of communication, because people who are not active on social media might actually read your dispenser or a sachet, or when they're at a store they might read everything. So all those kind of things have to go on the packaging, which is what I typically take care of. And then I just like conceptualize and I think of ideas, and then I'm like, hey Sanjana, please do something. So then Sanjana comes into it.
Yeah, so just like Mehul just said, I think we're moving towards a world that's becoming more visually inclined, no matter what it is that is in the market, right? Whether it's a product, a service, or anything. So especially with these powderless formats, when Mehul and Sahar and Madhura actually showed us a demo in our office and went through how it works, I was like, oh wait, so we tear a sachet and we pour it in, and I have to get that like in one shot. I can't do a retake, like, you know, it's like a one shot goes. And obviously we're trying to be a conscious brand, so we can't have like innumerable samples that are rolled out for photography and social media. So there's also being mindful about that. And sure, it was daunting when I saw it for the first time, where it was like, oh my god, how am I going to get this right, like, for the first time? But then we like came together, put our heads into it, made like a solid pre-production plan, and did like a short breakdown and achieved it. And then we did it with like not one but 3 products differently. So I think that was amazing, and all the products are so colorful, which I think visually was really like exciting for me, because it was like super pretty when like the powder just goes into the water and like dissolves. And I wish I could show you, but seeing that this is a podcast, I have to describe it in words. But it was really exciting. And with the moisturizer, the same thing. Just like Sahar said, I completely understand how passionately involved I think everybody on this team is when we're developing a product, right? Right from the formulation to the idea behind it, even the packaging, there's just so much thought that goes behind it. And for me as like the creator, it's quite inspiring to see how much work goes into making all of this come to life. And at the end of it, I really just aim to showcase it to people like our audience, because it's not just a moisturizer. There's so many stories behind it, and they deserve to be told. So it's just about, I guess, conceptualizing well and having fun while we do it, because all of our shoots are really collaborative here at Bear, and every day we're doing something new. Sometimes it's a trend that we're doing, and like we're just coordinating who does which part. And it's also about making people, I guess, who I shoot with super comfortable in my process, because while mood boarding, ideating, looking at colors, light, fixing all of that is something I love doing, it's also about giving people that space to feel comfortable when they shoot with me and not anxious or feel out of place, or like, you know, you're uncomfortable doing something, because all of us are doing so many things for the first time. So I think that's very important for me to be able to do. And yeah, and then everyone just comes together and makes a great product. So.
And I think your creative process is really testament to the love that it's been receiving, besides also them being just wonderful products. And I think each one of us here at Bear have been through every stage of it, every step of the way, right from the little pilots that we get in our glass jars. I know my home and my room is filled with those tiny little glass jars because we received so many, samples of it, and it just shows how long it takes to come up with a fantastic product. And maybe Tanya, you can talk about how your experience has been just selling these products, right, through the various ways that you do, and we'd love to hear more.
So I take care of partnerships and collaborations here at Bear, majorly about the sustainability themed workshops that we conduct with organizations as part of their employee engagement or CSR initiatives. And regarding the product vertical, I take care of marketplaces like Amazon, Brown Living, and many new ones that are coming up, the sustainable marketplaces that are coming up. And also I custom curate bundles for corporate gifting. So the most challenging part that I feel is like convincing people that our products are gender neutral, because they just come back and tell me that these men are not going to use it. Like how can you? Like everyone uses a hand wash, everyone uses a multi-surface cleaner at their homes, and it's just so sad to get comments like men will not use it, or when I try to put in our dishwash powder in the bundle, they just come back and say that the house helps wash the utensils anyway, so we don't need to put in an expensive product in there. So that's really sad to know. And another example that I can give is that my personal favorite product is the Crayons and Roses shampoo bar, but never in my entire career at Bare Necessities, like it's 1 year, I have put that product in any of the bundle because it is pink. Yeah. So that's really sad. And sometimes, people just challenge the concepts that we are trying to build, the intent that we are trying to build, that people need something gold in our packaging, they need something fancy, they need, and 90% of fancy products are plastic. But it's very difficult to explain it to people. So that's the challenge that we have been facing. And so moisturizer, rainforest moisturizer, when I first got the sample of it, it is very different than what we have in the market. So usually the moisturizer or products in general for women, they are more floral or fruity, and for men it's mostly musky. So the rainforest moisturizer is just something it is an elevated product than all the products that are out there, because for men they usually use the blue colored or black colored products, and women usually use pink, yellow, orange colored products. So I think green is the green that we have used in the packaging falls outside of the gender colors that we usually have, and thus it is one of the features that makes it a very unique and distinctive product on the shelves. But since we have glass packaging, it makes very difficult for to make people to convince people that it is actually really good, it is actually more useful, and there's no wastage at all. So yeah, so these have been my experiences in terms of selling the product.
Actually, you bring up something really interesting over here, which is the gender angle. And one would think that personal care products and sustainability, which is essentially the space that we operate in, is gender neutral by design. But it's only when we hear someone like Tanya share her experiences that we realize that that's not the case. Is there any learnings that you have had, or any in terms of the way our brand is perceived, do you see a difference in that case in terms of the way it's being perceived by men versus women?
So from a personal level, when I first joined Bare Necessities, I had no idea what bath salts was. Okay, so I first joined, soaps was like, of course, like I have been using Bare Necessities soaps since I joined. We kind of like fallen in love with it. Soaps is very easy to also say gender neutral because everyone does use it. But something like bath salts, you have to try it to understand the benefits of it, and then once you go through a workout, or you go through excessive number of workouts, and then suddenly you do some bath salts, and I was like, this is really good. Regardless of lavender, regardless of fragrance only, you need to look at the big picture of things, right? So I think what we fail to do, and what men are also not expected to do, is not look at the big picture at times, right? I feel like we have products that are out there like in blue or black, and that is manly. So go for those products, and don't look at the benefits, don't look at the ingredients, nothing. Blue and black means I can use it. If any other color is seen in my kit, am I being perceived differently? So it is a challenge being on the other side of that, because I believe that honestly personal care, healthcare, healthy lifestyles, all these kind of things are important. Whatever gender you are, whether you're a woman or a man, you'll be applying something on your skin. Both our skins are going through the same external factors. So I think one needs to take care of themselves. But over time, I do feel that men are becoming more aware of what they're exposing their bodies to. I think more and more male influencers are out there now, for instance, right? Talking about their skincare routines, talking about their personal care routines, which didn't used to happen in the past. There's also celebrities out there talking about this kind of stuff. There's celebrities out there who are endorsing this kind of stuff. So I think it's becoming like a mainstream now for men to also start thinking about mental health, start thinking about personal care, start thinking about healthy lifestyles, and be vulnerable, to be honest. Like, to be okay with having something that is not blue or black is very important for men to actually just understand and know that it's okay that to like a green, for instance. And I think that's why rainforest is great. I hope that answers.
No, it does. And you're also super secure for using a pink color shampoo bar, I guess. And I think one critical aspect that we also work on is just raising awareness, whether it's gender and most importantly sustainability. And this year we had this wonderful opportunity of working with IKEA and doing a series of workshops for them across their 3 centers. And the entire team, all 5 of us included, participated in those and hosted workshops. So I would love to hear some of your experiences. Sanjana, do you want to take us through? You were in Hyderabad both the times, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was honestly a wonderful experience because in my experience of doing workshops with Bear, they were all kind of online or virtual because of COVID. But this was the first time it was like an in-person experience. Yeah. So this was a great first-time experience, and I got to travel twice with 2 teammates who are with me here at the stable, Sahar and Veena. So those individual experiences of traveling with a colleague were amazing. But aside from that, I think working with IKEA was also wonderful because I got to meet so many different people. I think we all did. And like Veena mentioned, we all went to different parts of the country where IKEA is based. So that was really exciting to see the diverse number of people. And interestingly, to contribute to the gender conversation, it was a balanced ratio of men to women at these workshops, which is pretty great to see that, it's an interest that people are taking regardless. It's no longer something that only one age group of people do or something that one gender does. Everyone was there. There were kids, there were really adult people who have been in it for long, and there was also some elderly people who were there. So it's really wonderful to see that everyone's participating, and we did some cute DIYs and had some fun experiences of sourcing our raw materials and carrying it all the way. So lots of learnings, and it was just exciting. It was nice to meet new people.
Hyderabad had the repeat, right? Super cute. The elderly couple came back for the second workshop too. It was super cute.
What do you think?
I actually had a great time at the workshops. I was at Bangalore first, and then I went to Hyderabad with Sanjana for the second workshop. And it was just really nice to see how open people are out there to learn about sustainability, to learn about circular economy, and ever willing to be generous in imparting their knowledge with us and the others who are present at that workshop. And I feel it really is a conversation starter. You'll hear something today, and maybe a few days down the line you'll implement some of them and just keep the circle going. So it was really, really lovely to be a part of that workshop.
I just want to take it bigger than this right now. So when we do workshops, I feel over the years we just put so much energy into our workshops that after one workshop we're just melt, right? We think about everything. We may think about life sometimes, and we just sit there and we're like, what did we just do? How did it go? So I feel that that's really cool about every single one of us. We don't think of it as a day-to-day, any task. We think of it more okay, this is a task that I'm gonna literally customize, be there, answer questions, sweat. I know I was sweating at IKEA workshops like crazy. So I feel that I really enjoy that part as well about the team that we have here, but also these workshops, because these workshops are genuinely, yes, we're a product-first company, all that is great, but sometimes these workshops are just a great way to just be out there, and then be like, you know what, if you are interested in products, cool, go for it. But even if you're not interested in products, I'm just glad to have met you. I'm glad to have been able to talk to you about sustainability. And now, having done X number of workshops, I don't know, close to 700 or 800 workshops, I do feel that in the start, when Sahar was doing it on her own, there were maybe 10 people or some number of people, small number of people that are coming. Now, all of a sudden, over the course of the year, 1 year, we have done so many workshops, so many online courses that people have taken, and I just feel that the awareness is growing. And I think that's why I'm willing to sweat through these workshops.
sweat and get in a workout, right? Because you have to lift those cans. Yeah. Yeah, but that's the thing. I think we work in a very dynamic space where we do multiple things at once, and it makes it exciting. And I think with that, let's not eat into our time any longer. But before I let you all go, I would love for each of you to share maybe one takeaway that you have from this year, which is really special for each of you. And who would like to start? Sahar?
Oh my gosh, one takeaway. Everything.
Multiple you can even share.
But put it in one sentence.
I think what I learned this year is to cultivate resilience and patience, because everything you think takes longer than you expect, and that could be product development, it could be large scale things. So I think my biggest takeaway was to cultivate resilience.
My biggest takeaway was learning to say no, personally and professionally, I would say. Professionally, because there were so many aggregators that we work with, and they always eat up our margins, which are always very less, which are of course very less because we are trying to achieve a larger goal. And this is what something Sahar taught me, that it's okay, we can say no, even if our product doesn't move. It's okay if they don't understand and they don't align with our values. It's okay, we don't want to work with those partners. So yeah.
Wow, Tanya, lovely. I think for me, my biggest takeaway would be kind of to experiment and not be afraid, because what's going to happen, you push that gear on that cycle, what's going to happen? You either make it, you don't make it, and you'll know. So I think my biggest takeaway was to be fearless with experimenting and not be too afraid to fail, okay, sometimes an experiment fails, you don't get what you wanted out of it, you just try again. So I guess similar to Sahar, resilience is one, and definitely experiment more, because that's what leads to more discovery. So.
With me, I think I've learned a lot of patience this year. I think I've become more patient than ever, but it's kind of contrary, but I also think I've developed a sense of rage with people who deserve to be, who deserve to get a piece of my mind. I'm quite calm, but I think this year I had quite a few people testing my patience, and I chose to react. I woke up and chose violence this year. But it's not excessive, so it's controlled. But these were my takeaways from this year.
Yeah, it's fine to be assertive, I think, right? So I think that's good. I think that's a new side of you that we also saw a couple times. So that was actually very good to see. I think mine, key takeaways, of course, I think resilience, persistence. Every time I leave this office, just to be like, you know what, tomorrow's another day, it'll be good, come back. I think that in itself is a big deal. And I think just being open-minded and using whatever resources we can. I think that's a big takeaway for me for this year, because I feel like we were doing things fairly well, right? And when you start doing things fairly well, you realize you just keep on doing it, right? And you keep on doing it, and then all of a sudden you realize that okay, it's plateauing, right? And you have to think of something new, something different, or even how do you optimize current things. And I think optimizing those current things that we did suddenly gives new life. So I feel like being open-minded to those processes rather than just being happy with what's happening in the past, or thinking it's overwhelming to access resources or to be with resources or to approach people to ask questions. I think those kind of things are my takeaways. Whatever happens after I do those experiments, like you said, it is what it is. But I think those experimenting and being very open-minded, it would be my takeaways.
Lovely. And with that, we come to an end of this episode. Thank you, everyone, once again, and happy holidays. And thank you.
Happy New Year, everyone!
Happy New Year and Happy New Year and Merry Christmas, everyone. And until next time, make zero waste the norm and not the exception. Bye-bye.